Hi, everybody. This is Sandy Payne. I am your host of the PCS Project. This is a podcast that's designed to help military families really get a grip on PCSing and just really offering tips and tricks that I've experienced throughout our military career, hoping to bring you some joy and happiness during your next move. So on today's episode, I really thought it would be perfect to start talking about what it's like when you first get word that you're going to be moving. If you are already in a duty station and you're probably like, your house is finally set, you're finally in a rhythm, kids are all situated in school, like everybody's just got their roots starting to grow, and then there it is. There are the orders stating that you're going to be moving. I remember those days when it was like, oh my gosh, I finally just got my life together. And here we go. We're about to do this all over again. And the crazy thing is, when you get these orders, like, it's just temporary. Nothing is set in stone, and it's not a permanent decision until, really a lot closer to the time you're actually going to move. So I remember going through like this whole process of thought. Oh my gosh, where are we going to go? What is our house going to be like? Where are we going to live? Are we going to have enough space? Is all my stuff going to fit? And just question after question. And it becomes a bit consuming because the unknown is always so scary. So you never know where you're going to go and who you're going to meet. And your kids are going to have to start all over in new schools and new friends. And then even us, like sometimes the military spouse, like we feel like we have all of our act together. But we're the ones that really carry the biggest burden, I think, and from my experience, when we go through these military moves. Like, our soldiers are going to work, they're doing their thing, we relocate, and then they're back to work. And we're left with, all the packing, the unpacking most of the time, and getting the kids set and going through all the emotions of tears and worry and just that huge life change. It's very uprooting. And I remember a time where, a few times actually, where we got orders to move. My husband was actually deployed. And I had to make this entire move by myself because he was going to be moving duty stations close. We were in Germany. That's where we were. We were in Bamberg, Germany, and I got the word that we were going to be moving to Würzburg. And so I was like, okay, how am I going to do this on my own? It wasn't very far, but it was still, within Germany. But he was deployed. And the unit he was going to be coming back to was the one that was going to be in Würzburg. So I had to not only be in a foreign country, I had to pack everything up, find a place to live in our new duty station, unload everything, and get my life going in a whole new place. And the hysterical thing of that was, as much as that was chaotic, the funny thing was when my husband came back from deployment, he didn't even know where we lived. He didn't know where our house looked like. He was like completely lost. And for the first 3 weeks, I had to drive him into work. So I had to kind of train him as to where he was living now. And even more, going through that emotion, not only just moving, but if you are doing that during a deployment, that's even just added, right? That's just added to the whole process and the whole stress of it all. So the whole idea of trying to live in a way that you can quickly, and I don't want to say quickly, I don't want to say easily, but quickly and with the least amount of chaos, uproot and move possibly across the ocean, maybe just to another state, maybe close to your family. You never know where you're going to go. But I got to the point in all of these moves that I was almost always on guard. I was always ready. I always had in the back of my mind, what if tomorrow's the day we get the day we're moving? Am I ready? Am I prepared? And last episode, I talked about my book, That Military House, and why I wrote that. And it wasn't just about moving and moving tips, but, a lot of decorating and organizing and really just creating that home space, no matter how long it is that you're there, knowing that, you're probably going to have to upload, and leave again, and doing that with the least disruption to your family. Because I know for me, it was always on my mind, but I didn't want to ever really put that out to my kids, right? Or to my husband, that I'm oh my gosh, here you are. You get to just go to work every day and I'm back, dealing with all of this stuff. and really always trying to not prepare my family so crazy, like don't get too attached or don't make too many friends because we're just going to move, because that's kind of the mentality I sometimes had. I wanted to get rooted. I wanted to make these great friends. But you didn't want to get too invested because you knew you were just going to move. But what I didn't realize, and if you're a military family and you've moved many times, or this is your first time, what I didn't realize is my military family, my military friends are some of our closest friends today after 23 years. I think it's because there's just something we experience during a PCS that is undescribable, and it builds a certain part of your character that people who don't go through this just will never understand. You can't even explain it because they've never lived it. And so, here we are going about our way. Our kids are involved in sports. We're involved in our, spouses groups, our church groups, our crafting groups, or a job even at that. And we, all of a sudden have to know we're moving. So one of the things that I always was ready for, and I learned this over time. This was definitely not something that I knew like from the beginning, and nobody told me. And so I'm also hoping that just hearing from someone else who's been through what you're going through, it might help you make your moves just a little bit better. Knowing that someone's done this before. I mean, so many people do this every day, but not many people talk about it. And so getting those orders is, life-changing. And so last episode, I talked about my 3-box method of organizing. And I know that it's a little simple. I mean, it's a little bit logical, but we all need these reminders. But what I found was going through that process every time I moved, I got to the point that I really didn't have to do it much anymore. Like, I was already organized. I was able to not just be organized before the move, but when I had to open all those crazy boxes and try to whip my house together quickly,